What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So the other day, people online noticed that Sony made a bit of an odd change to the PlayStation 5 years into the generation now that even has people speculating and coming up with different theories for the PlayStation 5 Pro, and we'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Summer Game Fest. It is tomorrow, and we are starting to hear about certain games that'll be there, as well as see certain teases from big publishers that could lead to some very exciting announcements. And then we also have AstroBot and Concord to talk about because we may have pricing for both, and now I'm really curious to see where the community sits on both these games. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you'd like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we are going to start today with a game that has now been confirmed to be at Summer Game Fest. This is from Jeff Keighley himself. We can see posted up over on his official account, where he says, "Don't miss the gameplay world premiere of Slitterhead from the mind of Silent Hill creator Kiichiro Toyama and Bokeh Game Studio during Summer Game Fest live this Friday." Also outlines here once again, 5 p.m. Eastern. It's going to go for about 2 hours, and it does seem like we'll have some exciting stuff, even though I know Jeff Keighley has mentioned, hey, temper your expectations somewhat. I think we'll still have some fun stuff here. But Slitterhead is a game that we saw 3 years ago, I think now, from the newly formed, I believe at the time, Bokeh Game Studio. And it looked like what you would expect from the minds of some of these horror games, like an older Silent Hill, where it was sort of that psychological horror. It just looked out there. So I'm curious to see exactly how the game is going to play, but I'm kind of envisioning a slower horror game that should play into sort of the psychological side of things, but we'll see. Also, sticking with Summer Game Fest and Sony, we did hear that there should be at least one PlayStation Studios announcement at this show, and it looks like it has the potential to be that weird collaboration we've talked about before. As we can see, this is posted up over on X, and this is from Caracassus, who's been pretty good behind the scenes when it comes to some of the information getting out a bit early, especially around like 2K, for example. Well, in this case, after talking about 2K's upcoming reveal, saying it doesn't look good for Mafia fans, which seems to be Borderlands 4 is what we could expect maybe out of 2K, and then of course Gearbox. But they were asked about what Sony could have, and they mentioned Lego Horizon Adventures, that of course being the collaboration of the Lego Horizon game. And I guess it makes sense there, as it is a collaboration between Sony, obviously Lego, and then other studios involved as well. So Summer Game Fest makes sense, especially we didn't see anything like that during the State of Play, and while we had AstroBot there that was very exciting, it was definitely a more muted State of Play overall, as we've seen with the reaction online to things like Concord. But I am at least curious how this is going to work out, so I guess we'll see this Lego Horizon game here tomorrow at Summer Game Fest. Oh, and we were just talking about Octopath Traveler 2 getting rated for Xbox, and Octopath Traveler 1 getting rated for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and wouldn't you know it, they just released last night. Yeah, just okay, here it is, they're live, go for it. Square Enix even sent out a press release like half an hour after they went live on Game Pass. Like you can see, for example, Wario64 does point it out here. Octopath Traveler 2 is out on Xbox and on Xbox PC Game Pass. So I believe it's up right now on Xbox. If you want to just buy it, it's $60. But again, it is in Game Pass, and Octopath Traveler 1 also has now returned to Game Pass, so you have both of them there. It's also over on PlayStation, of course, where you can get the first Octopath Traveler, and then Octopath Traveler 2 has been there this whole time, so at this point, it's just available across the board. So good news, but if you haven't played it at all and you've been curious and you have Game Pass, whether it's on PC or Xbox, that's a very good addition to the service, and I do fully recommend checking it out. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Sony and the PlayStation 5, as they have made a bit of a change here that kind of takes away something that it's been sort of funny about the PlayStation 5 since it came out, because while it's on the box, it doesn't actually really do it. There's one game, I believe, that renders higher than 4K, and that's The Tourist. Otherwise, though, despite the PlayStation 5, as you can see here, posted up over on Reddit, having 8K on the box, if you still have your PS5 box laying around, go check. It should be there unless you've bought it in the last, 3 or 4 months, because Sony has now removed that 8K badge as shown here, side-by-side images. And I can tell you, it is on my PlayStation 5 revision, or the Slim as it's been dubbed, with that Call of Duty bundle. I double checked and yeah, 8K was still there. So this is a change that people are saying was made in like the last 2 or 3 months, and people just now noticed it, which, I mean, if you haven't bought a PS5 recently, you wouldn't obviously have noticed this. And also, you don't really see these boxes in stores much if you think about it. I haven't seen a PlayStation 5 in store still for what feels like years now. I thought we would have gotten to the point where you'd walk into a Best Buy, you'd walk into a Walmart, and you see it behind glass. Still not there. So that's also interesting to consider, since while the PS5 isn't just a walk in and buy at a lot of stores still, I mean, they're right there alongside the PlayStation 4, which was really at this time when you launch a line them. Nonetheless, people are coming up with all kinds of theories as to why they removed it. To me, I mean, the thing doesn't do 8K. They said before that there would be an update at some point that would allow it to output 8K video for different, maybe subscription services like Netflix. If they get to a position where they have just 8K streaming, it would support that. I mean, technically, it has the output to do it. It just really hasn't been called for much at all. I mean, it's possible that Sony thought, hey, in a few years, 8K will have caught on, we'll be selling 8K TVs, and we want to have the PS5 ready to go. It just hasn't really trended that way. Again, I don't know a lot of people are out there calling for 8K, like how we had people calling for 4K back like 3 years into the PS4 and the Xbox One generation, and that's what ended up spurring on Sony to do the PS4 Pro, whereas we're expecting a PS5 Pro here actually in a few months now, and that means that Sony will most likely look to reveal this thing probably in September or October to have it ready to go for the holidays. So maybe, as people are pointing out, they removed the 8K badge from the basic PS5 so they can put it on the PS5 Pro, and it's a way that they can differentiate them. And yeah, I guess that's possible. Again, though, we don't really have any games that are doing it now, which maybe there are patches that allow 8K 30 FPS, but I also don't know a lot of people who just have 8K TVs ready to roll as it is. Also, I feel the need to point this out. While it is the PlayStation 5 that had like 8K right on the front, the Xbox Series also has 8K on the box. It's just a little more hidden kind of on the side. So I guess technically Microsoft had plans maybe to do an update as well to where, hey, these games are now pushing 8K and we're going to allow them to utilize the full throughput of the HDMI port and the systems so that they can get an 8K image at probably questionable frame rates to the TV. But hey, for streaming, at least that would make sense, but we're just still not really there yet. The 8K adoption is just not warranted to have even an 8K badge on the front for the base system. So we'll see if that PlayStation 5 Pro attempts to sport it front and center when it comes out later on this holiday. Next up, let's talk about 2 games that seem to have had their prices leaked out a bit early as different store listings went live yesterday. And one is Concord, the other is AstroBot. We're going to start with Concord because, well, let's take a look here. It's currently listed. This is, by the way, in Australia, so we'll do some conversion here. But for Concord, they have it at $60, and they also have a digital deluxe edition at $95. Now, for the base one that most people are going to be curious about, when you convert that over, it's about $40, so it would line up nicely with Helldivers 2. They are going to seemingly do a 72 hours early access. Don't really know how many people are jumping at that right this second, but as I mentioned before, we have to see how things go with the beta because we still haven't played this game, and to me it's one of those situations of, okay, we get this prolonged CG trailer at the beginning of the state of play, people are already put off, then they're just watching people play it in small clips and spurts here and there, but when you sit down and you play it, and if it's just good, then maybe they could find an audience. It's not off to a great start here, and I saw people go, oh, it's not free to play. No, I mean, they told us there was going to be pre-orders at some point, so then it was like, okay, well, hopefully it's just not a full-price game, and fortunately, it's not. Will they still be able to capture an audience with a $40 price tag? Well, technically, I guess it's easier to approach than the full $70 price tag that maybe Sony considered at some point, like a while ago, but thought, you know what, it worked with Helldivers 2. Let's just try to set up some of our live service games for a longer tail, a longer road for success, rather than attempt to just get the entire 70 up front. There's, of course, a lot of post-purchase spend that will be happening. Now, for the one that I'm sure more people are curious about, AstroBot, and I'll admit I was interested to see how Sony would approach this one when it comes to its pricing structure. Since we know Sony, of course, looks for the $70 price tag, as we are seeing most publishers and developers stuff move to, even Nintendo with The Legend of Zelda, but we can see this posted up. This is from Radic, who noticed this one over on the Japanese retailer BitCamera's website. Looks like AstroBot's going to be a $60 title when converted over to USD. So as they mentioned, the same price as Sackboy, A Big Adventure, when it launched. And yeah, I think that makes sense for AstroBot. I know some people were wondering, could this be a $50 game? Could it be a $40 game? But as we heard Team Asobi talk more and more about how this is a big title for them to develop, and they talked about how there's 80 levels, a bunch of galaxies, check out over 150 cameos and callbacks to different parts of history and PlayStation. It just seems like, yes, it is Astro's Playroom, like 4 or 5 times that. And to me, that feels like it would be worth that $50 to $60 range, and yeah, I think this is a good price point for it. Would it be better if it was 50 or 40 and more people maybe would try it out just kind of on a whim? Sure, but I think this is one that if it reviews well and the quality's there and people are excited, yeah, I think they will buy it for $60. So fortunately, not the full 70. Bit of a discount there, $10, and we should get pre-orders going live officially here pretty soon after this video goes up, so we'll see if Sony has any extras maybe to present for AstroBot, a full special edition, who knows. Next up, let's talk about a major publisher. It's doing some pretty serious teasing for Summer Game Fest tomorrow, and they're doing this by way of invitations, and I will say, at times when invitations are sent out in the mail, like physically sent out, not emails or something, but you get a postcard, they've actually come through pretty well. Like, remember I got that Sega one, right? For one of Jeff Keighley's shows, and that was for the Game Awards. And I remember I tuned in and it was all of their older titles that are getting remade and new editions like Jet Set Radio and stuff. So that was pretty surprising. But in this case, it's Capcom, and the disappointment here could be incredible. But let's take a look. This is posted up. This, by the way, was posted up by Kit and Krista with a bit of a pop-up invitation. That's pretty fun. It says, get ready for the ultimate showtime. Join us for the digital premiere of special Capcom announcements during the Summer Game Fest 2024 digital event on June 7th. Grab your snacks for the show. We do know that Monster Hunter Wilds will be there. We've already seen that a couple of times now, obviously most recently just at the State of Play, but they can show off more gameplay and other things there, so that is exciting, obviously for Monster Hunter fans. But Proto Dude pointed out here that the last time Capcom sent out invitation cards was for the Mega Man 30th anniversary stream. Could we potentially see a new Mega Man game of some kind announced? Not even just new, but maybe even a collection of something. It's possible. That invitation, though, did go out for the 30th anniversary of Mega Man, so there was at least an event in place or something that they could latch onto there for Mega Man, so that to me made sense. In this case, it's just Summer Game Fest. Now, it's not a bad spot to announce either Mega Man X9 or Mega Man 12. People tend to forget that Mega Man 11 is the best-selling Mega Man game to date. Like, that's the one, the newest one. Think about all the other Mega Man games, some of your favorite ones, whether it's X, 0, even just like Mega Man 2. Now, it's 11. So when you think about that, Capcom would realize that Mega Man is actually trending in the correct direction for them, and that is a franchise that you want to continue building on because it is a storied one. People know Mega Man. So I'm kind of building myself up here. It's time, Capcom, for Mega Man X9. 12, I guess, or even a Legends Collection, something Mega Man. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But of course, that could build up for all kinds of disappointment, so I'm not going to expect it, but I will be crossing my fingers for it. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about another PC port for Sony that apparently has been held back for quite some time, and that's Last of Us Part 2. Well, D-Labs did come up with an update to the story over on their website. We can see this translated over to English, where they say, to begin with, and according to our information, the title Last of Us Part 2 is well under development on PC. This had even started since at least 2021. Furthermore, and this is the most important information in this article, we believe the development of this game is well finished, and this dates back to at least November 2023. They then go on to speculate as to exactly why it's been held back for so long, if this dates back to November 2023. I mean, it could have been finished for 6 months now. Well, we do know that there is Season 2 of The Last of Us coming up here, and yeah, I mean, you could release that to coincide with it, sure. I honestly just believe that Sony is still in that camp of, well, we want to have these prolonged windows between PlayStation release and PC release. I know Last of Us Part 2 came out a while ago on PS4, but they did that Last of Us Part 2 remastered thing on the PS5, right? With the new mode and that sort of thing. And maybe in their mind, that marks a new release for Last of Us Part 2, and we're still just waiting and waiting and waiting to eventually release the PC version, especially after their latest business meeting around the PlayStation brand. They seem to be doubling down on the idea of trying to get PC gamers to eventually go over to a PlayStation 5 for a sequel to a game, and this just continues to ingrain into their mind that, yeah, games are just gonna even hang out and wait if they need to, so that there is that time period between releases. And I guess also, yeah, it could just be waiting for The Last of Us Season 2. Like, it seems like they're gonna do some different things though with that from the game, based on some of the previews and interviews that have gone out around kind of their plans for it. So even then, I guess just brand recognition across both mediums will help to sell more copies on PC, sure, but it, to me, just seems like it lines up with what Sony is attempting to do when it comes to PC and PlayStation. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday. We're asked, will Capcom announce anything Mega Man related at Summer Game Fest? Okay, 83% just say no. 17% though, say yes. And technically, Mega Man related could be all kinds of stuff. Like, we saw the collaboration between Mega Man and Exo Primal. Thanks for that, Capcom. So I guess that would technically count. They could do merchandise. That would also count. Or they could just do a whole new game. Come on, Capcom. What are you doing with this? And look, it's been a long time since Mega Man 11 came out. It came out in 2018. So we're like almost 6 years apart from that release. They've done some other stuff, obviously, since then with different collections and stuff. But like, I feel like it's time just to put out a new one and continue on with that franchise. So I don't know, we'll see tomorrow, but I'm not necessarily going with high expectations either way. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Ironwood, who says, Nintendo has a printable version of that slipcover as a reward on NSO. This is crazy. I saw some people mention that, and yeah, I had also mentioned that there is a printable cover you can just download on Nintendo's website. It's like 30 platinum coins, which is nothing. You may just have those right now on your account, and you don't even know it. In this case, though, it really comes down to the collectability of it. That's it. The fact that it is coming from Nintendo New York, which I guess this would be the one American release of that slipcover for Paper Mario, which also means that there's not many of them out there, is enough. That's it. That's all it is that's actually pushing the price up over $1,000 when, yeah, if you have some nice matte photo paper that you get from Staples or Amazon or something, you have a nice inkjet printer, and you download like the high resolution image that Nintendo put up, you can make yourself a very, very good alternative cover art for your Paper Mario 1000-Year Door game on the Switch, but it didn't come from the Nintendo New York store, so it's not worth the $1,000 plus that the other slip of paper is. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. We're Sony revising the PlayStation 5 box, removing that 8K badge. Do you think they're saving that now for the PlayStation 5 Pro? Then also about Summer Game Fest, the potential for Capcom to show up with a surprising announcement, we'll say. And with AstroBot or Concord, how do you feel about the pricing around either of those? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.